The kiss that saved her life wasn't supposed to happen. As Marcus pressed his lips against Eliza's, performing CPR while her limousine burned behind them, he had no idea this desperate act would entangle their worlds forever. If you've ever wondered whether fate exists, this story might just convince you. Before you continue watching, hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more incredible true stories that prove reality is often more surprising than fiction. Marcus Reynolds checked his rearview mirror for the 100th time that evening, his calloused fingers drumming nervously on the steering wheel. The rain pounded against the windshield of his 10-year-old sedan, making the neon lights of downtown blur into watercolor streaks. He was already running late for his night shift, and Lily's babysitter had given him that look again, the one that silently judged his constant struggle to balance fatherhood with financial survival. 8 years as a single dad had taught him to ignore such looks, but tonight, the weight of responsibility felt particularly heavy. His phone buzzed with a notification from the rideshare app. A premium pickup at the Grand Meridian Hotel, exactly what he needed to make up for lost time. The fare would cover Lily's upcoming school field trip, maybe even with enough left over for ice cream afterward. These small victories were what kept him going. Marcus made a quick U-turn, heading toward the glittering hotel that seemed to belong to a different world than his own. Eliza Harrington stepped out of the Grand Meridian's revolving doors, her designer heels clicking against marble as she hurried toward the curb. At 28, she was already the acting CEO of Harrington Enterprises, a responsibility thrust upon her after her father's sudden heart attack 3 months ago. The board meeting had run late, and the quarterly reports showed concerning trends that would keep her awake tonight. She pulled her coat tighter against the rain, barely noticing the doorman who rushed to shield her with an umbrella. "Your car is here, Miss Harrington," he announced, gesturing toward a sleek black limousine. Eliza nodded absently, her mind still processing profit margins and market projections. She slid into the back seat, immediately opening her laptop to review the presentation one more time. The driver, a new one she didn't recognize, nodded politely in the rearview mirror before pulling away from the curb. Marcus arrived at the hotel just in time to see a limousine depart with who he assumed was his client. Confused, he double-checked the app. The request was still active, showing he was supposed to pick up an E. Harrington. He called the number listed, but it went straight to voicemail. With a sigh, he decided to follow the limousine. Perhaps there had been a miscommunication, and he could still salvage the fare. 3 blocks later, Marcus watched in horror as the limousine ahead swerved suddenly, sideswiping a parked car before careening into a streetlight. The impact wasn't catastrophic, but what happened next was, flames erupted from beneath the hood, spreading with alarming speed. Without hesitation, Marcus pulled over and sprinted toward the burning vehicle. The driver's door was jammed, but the man inside appeared conscious, frantically trying to escape. Marcus broke the window with his elbow, helping the dazed driver crawl out. "There's a passenger," the man gasped, pointing toward the back before collapsing on the wet pavement. Marcus rushed to the rear door, the heat from the flames already intense. Through the smoke-filled interior, he could see a woman slumped against the window, unconscious. The door handle burned his palm, but adrenaline numbed the pain as he wrenched it open and pulled her free, dragging her to safety just moments before the fuel tank exploded. She wasn't breathing. Marcus laid her gently on the ground, remembering his CPR training from years ago when Lily was born. He tilted her head back, pinched her nose, and pressed his lips to hers, breathing life into her lungs. 1 breath, 2 breaths. Then compressions. The world around them faded, the gathering crowd, the wail of approaching sirens, all became background noise to the rhythm of his efforts to save her. After what felt like an eternity, Eliza gasped, coughing violently as she returned to consciousness. Her eyes, a startling shade of green, locked with his in confusion and fear. "You're safe now," Marcus assured her, his voice hoarse from smoke inhalation. "Help is coming." The paramedics arrived moments later, taking over Eliza's care and treating the driver for smoke inhalation and minor burns. As they loaded her into the ambulance, Marcus stepped back, suddenly aware of the commotion around them. News crews had already arrived, cameras flashing as they captured footage of the burning limousine and the heiress being whisked away. Marcus slipped away before anyone could question him. He had missed his chance at the premium fare, and now he was even further behind on his night's earnings. As he drove away, he had no idea that someone had captured his rescue on video, or that by morning, his face would be splashed across every news outlet in the city. Eliza woke in a private hospital room, the steady beep of monitors a reminder of how close she had come to death. Her assistant, Thomas, sat nearby, his usually immaculate appearance disheveled from a night spent in the uncomfortable visitor's chair. "The board has been calling non-stop," he informed her, handing over her phone. "And the press is having a field day. Billionaire Heiress saved by mystery man is trending everywhere." Eliza frowned, scrolling through the notifications. "What mystery man?" Thomas turned his tablet toward her, showing a video that had already garnered millions of views. There she was, unconscious on the rain-soaked pavement, and there was a man, ordinary in appearance but extraordinary in his actions, performing CPR, saving her life with nothing but determination and the skills of a first aid course. "Find him," she said simply, her voice still raspy from smoke inhalation. Marcus was making pancakes shaped like dinosaurs when Lily pointed excitedly at the television. "Daddy, that's you." His heart sank as he saw himself on the morning news, the headline identifying him as the hero driver who had saved Eliza Harrington's life. By noon, reporters had somehow found his address, camping outside his modest apartment building. Marcus kept Lily home from school, drawing the blinds and ignoring the incessant knocking. His phone rang constantly with calls from unknown numbers, and his rideshare app was flooded with messages from the company's PR department. "Are we in trouble, Daddy?" Lily asked, her small face creased with worry as she peeked through the blinds at the crowd below. Marcus pulled her into a hug. "No, sweetheart. People just want to talk about what happened last night. But we don't have to talk to them if we don't want to." The knock that came at 3 in the afternoon was different, authoritative but not intrusive. Marcus peered through the peephole to see a well-dressed man with a tablet and an earpiece, flanked by 2 security personnel. "Mr. Reynolds," the man called through the door. "My name is Thomas Wright, executive assistant to Eliza Harrington. Ms. Harrington would like to speak with you privately, at your convenience." Marcus hesitated, then opened the door just enough to see the man's credentials. "How did you find me?" Thomas offered a small, professional smile. "Ms. Harrington has resources. She's waiting in the car downstairs, away from the press. She simply wants to thank you personally." 20 minutes later, after arranging for his neighbor to watch Lily, Marcus found himself sitting across from Eliza Harrington in the back of a luxury SUV with tinted windows, circling the block to avoid the reporters. In person, without the filter of smoke and emergency, she was even more striking than he remembered. Her dark hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail, and she wore a casual sweater that probably cost more than his monthly rent. But it was her eyes that captured him, the same green eyes that had looked up at him in confusion and fear the night before, now clear and focused. "You saved my life," she said simply. "Thank you seems inadequate." Marcus shifted uncomfortably. Anyone would have done the same. But they didn't. "You did." She studied him for a moment. "The driver told me you were following the limousine." "Why?" Marcus explained about the rideshare mix-up, how he had been assigned to pick her up but someone else had gotten there first. "I thought maybe there was a miscommunication, that I could still get the fare." Eliza's expression softened. "So you weren't even supposed to be there. Yet you were exactly where I needed you to be." She reached into her bag and pulled out an envelope. "I'd like to offer you a reward." Marcus raised his hands, shaking his head. "I don't want money for doing the right thing." "It's not a reward for saving me," she clarified. "It's compensation for the night's work you missed, the burns on your hands, and the inconvenience of having reporters camped outside your home." She placed the envelope on the seat between them. "Please. It would make me feel better." Before Marcus could respond, his phone rang, Lily's school. He answered to learn that his daughter had developed a fever and needed to be picked up immediately. The worry must have shown on his face. "Is everything all right?" Eliza asked as he ended the call. "My daughter's sick. I need to go get her." He reached for the door handle. "Let me drive you," Eliza offered, surprising herself as much as him. "It's the least I can do, and it will be faster than waiting for another ride with all those reporters outside." What began as a simple act of gratitude evolved into something neither of them expected. As they drove to Lily's school, Marcus shared snippets of his life, how he'd been raising Lily alone since his wife died in childbirth, how he worked multiple jobs to make ends meet, how he dreamed of someday starting his own business but couldn't risk the financial instability. Eliza found herself drawn to his resilience, his unwavering devotion to his daughter, and his complete lack of self-pity. When they arrived at the school, she waited in the car, watching through the window as he emerged with a small girl in his arms, her head resting trustingly on his shoulder. Something shifted inside her at the sight, a recognition of what had been missing in her own privileged but emotionally barren life. Against all logic and her assistant's barely concealed disapproval, Eliza insisted on driving them home. She waited while Marcus settled Lily with medicine and a favorite cartoon, then found herself accepting his awkward offer of coffee in the tiny kitchen. "I'm sorry about the mess," he apologized, hastily clearing away breakfast dishes. "We weren't expecting company." Eliza smiled, taking in the crayon drawings on the refrigerator, the mismatched furniture, the obvious signs of a home filled with love rather than expensive things. "It's perfect," she said honestly. They talked for hours, long after the coffee had gone cold. Eliza shared her own struggles, the pressure of taking over her father's company, the board members who questioned her every decision, the loneliness of a life measured in stock prices and business acquisitions rather than meaningful connections. As evening fell, Marcus insisted on making dinner, and Eliza found herself sitting at a wobbly table eating spaghetti with a feverish 8-year-old who wanted to know if she owned a castle, like the princesses in the movies. "No castle," Eliza laughed, "just a very big, very empty house." "That sounds sad," Lily observed with a child's unfiltered honesty. "You should come here more. Daddy makes the best spaghetti, and I'm learning to play chess." "Do you know how to play chess?" The days that followed brought changes neither Marcus nor Eliza could have anticipated. The media frenzy eventually died down, but their connection didn't. Eliza found excuses to visit, bringing books for Lily and taking genuine interest in the child's world. Marcus initially resisted her attempts to help financially, but when she framed it as an investment in the small catering business he had always dreamed of starting, his pride gave way to practical consideration of Lily's future. For Eliza, the simple apartment became a refuge from the corporate world that had defined her existence. She found herself looking forward to evenings spent playing board games or helping Lily with homework more than the high-profile social events that filled her calendar. And she noticed changes in herself. She was more decisive in board meetings, less concerned with others' approval, more willing to trust her instincts. The first time Marcus kissed her, really kissed her, not the life-saving act that had brought them together, was 3 months after the accident. They were washing dishes side by side, Lily already asleep, when Eliza flicked soapy water at him playfully. His retaliation led to laughter, which led to a moment of stillness, of recognition, and then he was leaning in, his hand gentle on her cheek. "I've wanted to do that since the second time I saw you," he admitted afterward, his forehead resting against hers. "Not the first time," she teased. "The first time you weren't conscious, so that would have been inappropriate." Their worlds couldn't have been more different, yet they found a balance that worked. Marcus started his catering business, building a clientele that appreciated his unpretentious but delicious food. Eliza restructured her work schedule to make time for what she now recognized as her real life, the one that included impromptu picnics in the park and science fair projects and falling asleep on Marcus's worn couch while watching old movies. The board members raised eyebrows when she began bringing Marcus to corporate events, but his natural charm and genuine interest in people won over even the most skeptical executives. And when Eliza proposed a company initiative to fund small business startups in underserved communities, inspired by Marcus's struggle to realize his own dreams, the positive press and community goodwill silenced any remaining critics. 1 year after the accident, they returned to the spot where their lives had intersected so dramatically. The streetlight had been replaced, and there was no trace of the burned limousine or the chaos of that night. Hand in hand, they stood in the gentle rain, remembering. Do you ever wonder what would have happened if I hadn't been assigned to pick you up that night? Marcus asked. If I hadn't followed the limousine? Eliza squeezed his hand. I try not to think about it. But I do know that sometimes the most important journeys in our lives start with what seems like a wrong turn. As they walked back to where Lily waited in the car, their car now, a practical family vehicle rather than a luxury status symbol, Eliza reflected on how completely her life had transformed. She had gone from a woman defined by her family name and corporate position to someone who measured wealth in moments of connection and genuine happiness. The kiss that saved her life had indeed changed everything, not just by keeping her breathing, but by showing her how to truly live. If this story touched your heart, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. Remember that sometimes the most extraordinary love stories begin in the most unexpected circumstances, and that true wealth isn't measured in dollars but in the depth of our connections with others. Share your thoughts in the comments below, and tell us about a time when an unexpected encounter changed your life forever.